Hi, and welcome to House News. In this episode, we will present to you the latest information coming from the House of Representatives of Indonesia. But before we get started, here are some news headlines for today. Speaker of the House condemned Israel's violence against Palestinians in Gaza at the 148th Interparliamentary Union General Assembly in Geneva recently. Hundreds of parliamentarians from over 140 countries gathered at the 148th IPU Assembly in Geneva, Switzerland. They have reconfirmed their commitment to the parliamentary diplomacy to support peace efforts. The Indonesian Police Headquarters uncovered a case of alleged human trafficking by sending students to Germany for internship through the Foreign Job Program. The government projects the economy will grow between 5.5 and 6% in 2025. It is considered stronger than the GDP growth of around 5% for the most of the past decade. Two newly released Indonesian horror films, Siksa Kubur and Badarawuhi di Desa Penari, are currently in a tight competition at the cinema. Speaker of the House Dr. Honoris Causa Puan Maharani urges the World Parliament to take actions regarding the inhuman crimes in Gaza, which have affected thousands of victims including the elderly, women, and children.
In the IPU General Assembly session, Puan urges all parties to prioritize international humanitarian law to mitigate the impacts of armed conflict. She states the civilians in Gaza are in a critical condition, thus a ceasefire must be immediately implemented. Furthermore, Puan ensures Indonesia will continue to advocate for Palestinian independence.
Kita tidak bisa menutup mata terhadap penderitaan warga sipil di Gaza. Di masa krisis ini, di masa kritis ini, segera dimulainya gencatan senjata sudah menjadi suatu keharusan. Saya mendesak semua pihak yang terkait untuk memastikan akses kemanusiaan yang aman dan penghormatan penuh terhadap hukum humanitar internasional. Tujuan utamanya adalah untuk menciptakan solusi dua negara berdasarkan hukum internasional dan resolusi-resolusi PBB. Indonesia akan selalu berdiri bersama Palestina dan mendukung perjuangan rakyat Palestina untuk menjadi negara merdeka.
Additionally, Puan encourages major countries to use their power to facilitate the delivery of humanitarian aid to millions of Palestinians. She emphasizes the importance of parliamentary diplomacy in promoting peace in the Gaza Strip. From Geneva, Switzerland, Dodi Muharam, TVA Parliament reports.
Indonesian Parliament, together with the member states of the Organization of Islamic Cooperations, agree on a resolution to end the war in Palestine. Various resolution proposals are expected as an emergency item in the final declaration.
Vice Chairperson of BKSAP of the House Sukamta mentions the Indonesian Parliament continues to submit resolutions on the Palestine issue in various forums, including during the Interparliamentary Union sessions. Indonesia and Malaysia, the African group countries, and the Arab countries have a proposal for Palestine resolution. Sukamta adds these three groups of countries agree on one resolutions to be submitted in the IPU General Assembly. The aim is to strengthen the voice of the participating countries in promoting the main issue. The resolution can only be adopted if it is supported by 70% of the participating countries. Therefore, BKSAP of the House forms a working group with the OIC parliaments to gather more support for main resolution.
Kami tadi di Parlemen OKI, negara-negara OKI maupun yang baru saja ini Parlemen Asia Assembly, ini mengkonsolidasikan agar nantinya itu hanya ada satu draft proposal yang diajukan, yang di voting gitu, sehingga votingnya bisa fokus. Kami tadi di PUIC, Parlemen Negara-Negara OKI, itu membuat kelompok kecil working group, ada Indonesia dan ada 5 negara yang lain untuk mengerucutkan agar usulan dari 3 itu nanti menjadi 1 saja yang diusulkan.
The efforts led by Indonesia alongside the OIC countries to address the situation in Palestine will not be easy. This is because at the same time, Israel is gathering support from 12 other European countries. From Geneva, Switzerland, Dodi Muharam, TVR Parliament reports.
Commission 9 of the House requests the National Police to investigate the cases of human trafficking by sending students to Germany for internship. Over 1,000 students are suspected of being the victim of this case.
Member of Commission 9 of the House, Edi Wuryanto, asked the Indonesian Embassy in Germany to monitor and verify Indonesian citizens traveling abroad. This will ensure prompt action is taken in any suspicious activities without waiting for the reports. Regarding human trafficking, Edi requests the National Police to investigate the universities that facilitate internship programs. The students believe the program was part of the Education Ministry's Merdeka Belajar initiative in Germany. Instead of gaining knowledge, they were trapped in employment contracts unrelated to improving students' competencies.
Di saat negara ingin menyiapkan lulusan perguruan tinggi masuk dunia kerja global atau menuju world class university, semua berupaya keras ke situ, tapi tercederai dengan proyek mengatasnamakan magang Merdeka Belajar Kampus Merdeka ke Jerman yang ternyata ujung-ujungnya izinnya adalah izin kerja dan masuk ke dalam TPPU. Maka ini harus mendapat perhatian serius dari negara. Oleh karena itu, pertama, saya minta mahasiswa ini segera dipulangkan. Jangan sampai menimbulkan trauma psikologis. Karena mereka tidak mudah untuk menyiapkan bahasa bahasa Jerman. Lalu memenuhi persyaratan yang diminta oleh para agen-agen yang nggak jelas ini.
In this human trafficking case, the police have identified 5 suspects. Commission 9 of the House urges the Education, Culture, Research and Technology Ministry and local universities to improve their oversight of Indonesian students who go abroad for internship. Andri, TVR Parliament reports.
We have more updates on the 2025 state budget after the break, only on House News. The Budget Committee of the House hopes detailed input from economic experts on the 2025 state budget, especially on boosting economic growth as the government targets 6% of the economic growth in 2025.
In a hearing meeting with the Dean of the Faculty of Economic and Business, University of Indonesia, and the chairpersons of the Indonesian Entrepreneurs Association, the Budget Committee of the House points out the economic target is predicted to be difficult to achieve considering Indonesia is in the transition period to a new government. Vice Chairperson of the Budget Committee, Muhyiddin, urges the government to maintain the current economic growth target.
Pertumbuhan ekonomi itu tidak perlu terlalu besar menurut Pak Teguh berdasarkan pengalaman dan studinya, bahwa kalau itu kita kejar terlalu tinggi tetapi juga mengejar sekarang investasi yang begitu besar yang harus target yang harus kita capai, ini kelihatannya sangat sulit, tapi lebih bagus kita mempertahankan pertumbuhan ekonomi itu 5% tetapi dengan kualitas yang cukup.
Meanwhile, member of the Budget Committee, Sulfikar Hamonangan, evaluates the 6% economic growth target is considered ambitious.
Target daripada pemerintah ingin mencapai investasi 1.700 triliun. Hal yang mustahil kalau bagi saya dengan kondisi seperti ini. Konsentrasi kita nggak fokus. Apakah kita fokus kepada ibu kota baru? Apakah kita fokus dalam merangsang daya tarik investasi?
Andri and Teddy, TVR Parliament report.
In a working visit to the Bogor region, West Java, Commission 10 of the House highlighted bullying cases. The visit discussed strategies to tackle bullying and ensure safety in schools and other environment.
The Regional Child Protection Commission has noted a high number of bullying cases occur in Bogor, with almost 400 cases reported between 2021 and 2023. During the working visit to the Bogor region, Vice Chairperson of Commission 10 of the House, Dede Yusuf, suggested educational institutions in Bogor increasing non-academic activities for students. In addition, Dede said engaging in non-academic activities can help students redirect their energy in positive ways. These activities provide opportunities for students to develop and showcase their talents and boost confidence. As a result, students will no longer engage in bullying as they are more focused on activities.
Ada beberapa usulan-usulan yang menarik tadi seperti kayak buku saku, buku catatan, memperbanyak ekskulnya digelorakan kembali. Karena sekarang ini kan ekskul tidak mendapat dukungan dari sekolah, artinya tidak ada pembiayaan dari sekolah. Sehingga ya boleh dikatakan mati hidup ya. Nah, karena energi anak-anak yang besar ini memang harus disalurkan ya melalui berbagai bentuk kegiatan-kegiatan non-akademik. Dengan kegiatan non-akademik itu nanti banyak digalakan, tentu dalam konteks ini pembiayaannya juga ya, maka siswa-siswa itu punya kesibukan untuk menyalurkan bakat-bakatnya mereka atau energi-energi mereka yang terpendam.
On the other hand, Dede Yusuf emphasized children who bully should not face criminal sanctions. Instead, he proposed using social and academic sanctions to educate and prevent future bullying. From Bogor, West Java, Ade Ardiansyah, TVA Parlemen reports.
Commission 6 of the House supports increase in domestic food production to reduce reliance on imports. Therefore, the government should prioritize agricultural production to meet the local demands by cutting food export to secure domestic supply.
Member of Commission 6 of the House, Rieke Diah Pitaloka, highlights Indonesia is a maritime and agricultural country with abundant food potential. However, the country still depends on food imports, such as import of salt and soybeans. She hopes the government will prioritize local agricultural productions in its policies. Moreover, Rieke says Indonesia has the potential to achieve food self-sufficiency if it can access accurate agricultural data. The data is crucial for the government to formulate and implement effective food policies.
Tidak target ekspor dulu, tapi penuhi dulu kebutuhan pangan di dalam negeri dengan bahan-bahan pangan yang ada di dalam negeri. Itu saja sudah jadi pasar yang besar ya. Tapi untuk garam saja kita masih import. Lalu kemudian juga kedelai gitu ya. Nah, itu perlu di mana bisa dikembangkan sentra-sentra kedelai, di mana unsur haranya yang bisa kemudian memenuhi untuk penanaman kedelai misalnya dan lain sebagainya. Saya pikir Indonesia pasti seharusnya bisa. Asal pemerintahnya segeralah tetapkan ada satu data Indonesia yang komprehensif. Jangan sampai kemudian pendataan itu lagi-lagi orientasinya hanya proyek pendataan.
The Indonesian government plans to import another 3 million tons of rice this year, the same amount it bought from international market last year. The import is done to fulfill its rice deficit. Helmi Darmawan, TVA Parlemen reports.
When we return, we will bring you more information on the latest Indonesian box office. Stay tuned on House News. The Indonesian horror movies Siksa Kubur and Badarauhi di Desa Penari have achieved remarkable success, attracting over 1 million viewers in less than 5 days since their first release.
Recent local horror film releases have been driving conversation across the country, gathering millions of ticket sales in a flash and strengthening the horror film industry. Indonesian horror films have long been a popular mainstay in the country, and the ones currently showing in theaters set new bar in quality and reception both domestically and internationally. The two biggest horror titles in theaters now are Badarawuhi di Desa Penari or Dancing Village, The Curse Begins, and Siksa Kubur or Grave Torture, released at the same time on April 11 during Idul Fitri. Both films sold more than 2 million tickets at theaters, according to local box office analysts. Joko Anwar, as the director of Siksa Kubur, hopes these two films can present a new phenomenon, just like the Barbenheimer, which is a competition between the films Barbie and Oppenheimer. Siksa Kubur tells the story of a character named Sita who lost her parents due to a suicide bombing. As she grows up, she lives with a great ambitions to find the most sinful person to accompany her in witnessing the torture she will receive in the grave. Meanwhile, Badarawuhi di Desa Penari, directed by Kimo Stambul, is produced by Indonesian studio MD Pictures and was premiered on April 4 in Los Angeles. It is the first film for IMAX movie ever produced in Southeast Asia and is also one of 5 worldwide this year.
The legendary pop music group Westlife has visited Indonesia several times, and this time they will land in the city of Yogyakarta in June 2024. Westlife will hold their solo concert titled Westlife with Love Tour.
Music group Westlife is ready to return to Indonesia precisely at Prambanan Temple, Yogyakarta in their solo concert titled With Love Tour 2024 in June 2024. The promoter Otelo Asia stated, the performance in Yogyakarta is Westlife exclusive concert in Indonesia and is part of its latest tour series that will also be held in China, Vietnam, and Malaysia. As a fan of Westlife, you must always remember the formations of this legendary pop band with 5 handsome men with melodious voices. After Brian McFadden left the band in 2004, this year, with a heavy heart, Mark Viley also resigned from the band. It's not without reason. Mark resigned due to his health problems. However, he will step back until his post-operation recovery improves. After that, Mark will sing again with other members of Westlife. To greet Indonesians at Prambanan Temple, Otelo Asia provides 6 categories for the concert: the festival, bronze, silver, gold, diamond, and VVIP class. Before purchasing the tickets, make sure there is an additional 10% government tax and 5% ticket fee. Ticket sales have been open since April 13 on Westlife official Instagram bio or at westlifeprambanan2024.com.
Attending a music concert is an unforgettable experience. However, it is important to keep yourself safe during the entire event. Here are some tips from us to stay safe while attending a music concert.
Watching music concert is an exciting activity that many fans look forward to. You still need to pay attention to a few things before deciding to watch an offline concert. You must understand safety procedures and comply with the do's and don'ts when watching music concerts. In more detail, here are tips for watching music concerts that you need to pay attention to. It is important to purchase concert tickets from a legitimate and official source. Avoid buying tickets from black market ticket sellers or unknown websites. Just remember to always take your ticket with you. When watching a concert, it is important to recognize the venue or locations. Try to pay attention to the floor plan issued by the committee to see the locations of the gate or entrance, exit, gathering point, and area of public toilets. Be sure to research the logistics of getting to your concert, whether that's making sure there's adequate marking if you're driving, making sure that it can be reached by public transport, or finding out if there are any free shuttle services available to take you to and from the venue. Attending a music concert is an amazing opportunity to enjoy live music and feel unforgettable energy. By following the safety tips above, you can keep yourself safe and make the concert a positive and enjoyable experience. Remember that your safety is a priority.
And that's House News for today. Thank you for tuning in and see you next time.